Welcome, seaweed fans. Today I am incredibly overexcited to be talking to Caroline Warwick-Evans of the Cornish Seaweed Company, who has written my absolute favourite book about cooking with seaweed, where I put it, the Seaweed Cookbook. If anyone is interested in starting to cook with or eat seaweed, because of its many health benefits, I highly recommend this book. But let's chat to Caroline and talk about her journey and get into actually why seaweed is so good for you to eat. Hi Caroline, thanks so much for spending the time to talk to me today.
No worries, nice to talk to you.
Excellent, thank you. So let's just I'd love to get started with where you got started with seaweed, because I know you have been in the seaweed industry for a long time now. Where did it all begin?
So it was in 2012, and me and Tim had both been working in other areas. I've been working overseas for a long time with renewable energy, working with small charities and remote communities, and Tim was running a charity working with deforestation in Borneo. But both of us were in Cornwall, and it was when there was no work at all in Cornwall, and I was working as a cleaner and scrubbing boats, and Tim was working as a waiter, and I was living in a van and Tim was living in a caravan, just kind of trying to make life work.
Wow.
Down and stay in Cornwall. And it was early one morning, I was listening to Farming Today on the radio in the van, and it was talking about the seaweed industry in Ireland. And we spend a lot of time at the beach anyway, and surfing and out hiking the coast and whatever, parking up and sleeping overlooking the sea. And it was just talking about it's an industry in Ireland, and it's well known, and the history of seaweed and just how incredible it is. And it got me thinking that we've got all this amazing seaweed here and no one's doing anything. And so I started researching about it, and really no one was doing anything in England with seaweed. And the more I looked into it, and the more fascinating it became, really this is an untapped market in this country. And I'd spent a long time working all over the world really, but in Chile where it was an industry, and Peru where it was an industry, and South Korea, Japan, all those places it's very clearly a thing. It's part of their life, and they attribute lots of their amazing healthy lifestyles to seaweed and kind of getting that iodine and those super nutrients into your body. And so me and Tim got talking and decided this was our path. And so we started contacting companies to see if anybody would take us as volunteers. We told them we wanted to start a seaweed company but didn't know where to start. And we found an amazing couple in Ireland who took us to work for them for several weeks. And they taught us as much as they could, and we worked for free, and they put us up. And it was a pretty amazing experience to understand kind of the basics of what you do with seaweed and how you process it and everything else, even though it's totally different rules and regulations in this country. And we were really at the beginning of those kind of understanding those rules and regulations. There weren't any other seaweed companies. It had never been passed by food standards. They didn't know what tests the seaweed needed to go through. Natural England had never kind of overseen harvesting of seaweed in the natural environment in this country before. So we helped write code of conduct with Natural England for sustainable harvesting, so the stocks can regenerate every year. And kind of all these things were new. Licenses had never been issued before, so it was kind of, I remember the first time I called the Crown Estate, who are now responsible for issuing the licenses, and they were kind of like, no, we've got nothing to do with seaweed. I was like, okay, call the next person. Farmers Marina, know anything about seaweed? No, okay, call the next person. And anyway, it turned out that it was the Crown Estate that issues the licenses. So kind of we were kind of across the board of the different organisations we had to work with. We really kind of had to help pull it all together and get them talking, and just kind of for it to be possible. So that was a struggle. And nobody wanted to buy seaweed. All the shops, all the restaurants, we were totally mental for the first 3 years. We were pretty much laughed out of any of the restaurants we went in to try and sell it. I would do marketing trips up on my bicycle around London and walked into offices in Planet Organic and were like, please sell our seaweed. And they were they said it needs barcodes, and then come back when you're like an established business.
Oh my goodness.
So
Wow.
yeah, it was a huge amount of sneaking into places and getting to the person that we needed to talk to, and then often just being told no thanks, see you later, love, try again.
Oh my
And then
goodness.
really over the last few years, so it probably was after about 3 years of absolute struggle where we were both just like, this is not going to work. Working on it 7 days a week, we were harvesting seaweed all the time and processing it in like just things that we built to be able to dry it, and then packing it at night time in a friend's bakery that said that was food standards approved, because of course we were in caravans, we couldn't package it anywhere. So yeah, it was quite a struggle really for many years, and then suddenly like the first kind of things started to happen. Like I got asked to do a cooking course here and a cooking course there, and went up and did some stuff at River Cottage, and then that was kind of the first kind of contact with celebrity chefs. And then kind of now we work with all the top restaurants, we supply to kind of everybody in the food kind of sector like that. We've just done filming with Rick Stein, we've filmed with Jamie Oliver, we've been really lucky how it's gone. It's kind of, I think we would have given up after 3 years, 4 years probably, if it had not got any better. And then it's suddenly with people opening their eyes to seaweed and local stuff, and it just being this incredible resource that's here. Yeah, it's just now, it's just made it better and better, and now it's kind of functioning. Now it's a functioning business, which is
Absolutely. Nice. Oh my goodness. So who was your first like real customer?
Oh God, I can't remember. Probably my mum.
Mums for the win.
Yeah. No, I really can't remember. Lots of, like Nathan Outlaw was probably one of the first people who really took us seriously. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's a well-known Cornish chef that like really kind of shouts Cornish produce.
Okay.
He's very well established and got several restaurants and was based out of Rock for a long time. But he's a lovely bloke, and he was kind of really behind us and put us forward for everything that he could think of, like any awards that came up or anything.
Oh,
it just took a couple of people like really behind us, and some kind of the School for Social Entrepreneurs, which we got funding to do one of their startup programs for a year. And they were incredible as well, kind of, I suppose, probably more for emotional support in the third year. But they were great and really good to network with and kind of understand about how to run a business and build a business, which was really good. And obviously we didn't have any of those skills at all before. So they were, lots of really handy, helpful people actually.
Gosh, what an incredible adventure. Wow. So when did you start writing the recipe book? Was that
a long time ago? No, so we started it in, I think, probably the second or third year.
Okay.
And it took, I think, about 3 or 4 years to finish, maybe 3 years to finish. It was a huge amount of recipes and trials, and we worked with lots and lots of friends who are really into cooking and healthy eating and foraging. So working with a lot of friends and other small, like young restaurants like up in Bristol and London. So they were really, really, really helpful. It was fun. A lot of fun.
It's an incredible book. It's so informative. It's not just recipes, it's also a whole bunch of stuff about the health benefits and different the different species that you worked with. It's an incredible piece of work, so well done. Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about kind of the health benefits of seaweed. And I know that loads and loads of stuff about it, and I know a little bit about why seaweed is so good to eat, but it would be lovely to kind of delve into that a little bit.
Okay, well, it's kind of like where to start really. So seaweed is in general, like, it's just an incredible, it's termed superfood. So it means it holds all the vital vitamins and minerals that our bodies need. So we need about 53 different nutrients for successful physiological functioning, and seaweed holds all of them. So it has a really broad matrix of all the things that our bodies really thrive on. And it's different from anything that grows on land, because of course it gets all its nutrients from the sea. It doesn't have roots. It absorbs everything from the ocean, in through its skin, through its leaves. In Japan, it's well known for its cleansing properties. So it absorbs heavy metals and toxins, pollutants out of your body. So it's incredibly, I suppose, in the same way that kind of green tea was given that accolade, really, for cleaning your system out. Seaweed does the same thing. And it's got a range of different things in it that is only in seaweed. So alginates and fucoidin and laminarin and all these things, which now there's a lot more trials and tests being done about them and their benefits, kind of an anti-everything, anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antiviral. And they're only in seaweed, so they're not in any land plants or anything else. So it really is incredible, and they're all very, very different. So like you look at a range of vegetables or a range of fruits, seaweed is the same. So the kind of kelp is it's brown seaweed, so it's very detoxifying, very cleansing, and very heavy. So it's much kind of a heartier seaweed to cook with, right through to kind of dulse, which is a red seaweed, and it's much lighter and has a totally different range of nutrients, and sea greens, which is different still, and it is a really light seaweed, thin in texture, and really, really rich in B vitamins, which is it's the highest amount of B vitamins out for any vegan product, which is quite amazing. Seaweeds grow in different places, so you've got brown seaweeds that grow really low, deep down into the water, and it makes them very strong because they have to withstand that kind of ferocious waves and being whacked onto the rocks all the time. And then you've got red seaweeds, which grow in kind of the mid-shoreline, and they're again like slightly lighter because they're higher up, they get a bit more sunshine, and they're bashed a lot less when they're out of the water. And then you've got the seaweeds that are much higher, like the green seaweeds, which grow at the top of the tide line. So they're out in the sunshine, and they have to be used to the sun and the waves and the wind, absolutely everything. So they've developed these mechanisms to survive in such crazy environments, and to be able to withstand the drying out in the sunshine and the battering by the sea and everything else. And so they're incredibly tough. They're like not to eat. They're like as these things that can withstand all of this. They're quite incredible things, and they have to be able to hold on to their own moisture so they don't dry out. So that in the same way, they're very, very moisturizing for our body. So they can kind of carrageenan, which is one great example, which we call Irish moss in this country, but it is an incredible gel. It's a gelling agent, and it's got those properties from being able to kind of withstand all this environmental attack and still dry out and not die, and it does exactly the same for you. So it's quite a fascinating seaweed. When you simmer Irish moss, it releases carrageenan, which is this really dense thickening agent. It's a thickening gel. It's like vegan gelatine, and it all this kind of amazing nutrient-rich goo comes out of it. And then when you push it through a sieve and you take out all the fibers, you've just got this really rich gel, which is amazing for your body. And you know, you can tell immediately if you've kind of smothered yourself in carrageenan goo. But when you eat it,
do you do that on a regular basis?
Yeah, we have seaweed baths. Actually, we've got a cast iron bath in the garden with a fire underneath it, and every Sunday we do our seaweed Sunday bath, and it's great with the kids. We go to the beach, pick up tons and tons of seaweed, chuck it in the bath, heat the water up, and it releases this amazing gel. So you pull the seaweed out, and just all this seaweed gel comes off, and it's incredible stuff. Like, it's really, really good. But they've been having seaweed baths since forever, really. And they're well known in Ireland, but I think a couple of fancy hotels in this country do them now. Like the Scarlet Hotel on the north coast of Cornwall's got a big seaweed bath, and it was called thalassotherapy, which is a type of kind of seaweed-based therapy, ocean-based therapy, which it goes back to however, I don't even know, but they've got some amazing thalassotherapy baths in Japan and in France. They're really expensive and amazing, and it's all like treating your body for pretty much anything with warm water and seaweed, and appreciating all of the nutrients and vitamins that come out of seawater. And
that sounds like a great business idea, Caroline. You guys should start Seaweed Baths.
yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it?
That would
Yeah,
be
love
amazing.
to add it to the list. Yeah.
How long is your list at this point?
It's still growing. I imagine a bit like yours. It's still like there's a lot of interesting things to do on there.
Absolutely. So what is your favorite seaweed to cook with, or is it rude
Fresh
to
sea
ask?
spaghetti. So really,
Okay.
yeah, fresh sea spaghetti is amazing because you can just
Mhm.
chuck it into anything. So for the kids, you put a little bit in for pasta. It's like you cook it alongside spaghetti, and then it's a
Right.
really lovely thing to cook with pasta. Otherwise, you can just stir fry it with vegetables, and that's really good. Otherwise, yeah, we use at home. We just use, instead of stock, we use mixed flakes. So it's a
Mhm.
grind that we do of a range of different seaweeds, and they're in small flakes, and you just chuck them into absolutely everything. Yeah, so those probably.
I'm a very, very big fan of your mixed seaweed flakes. I've been doing the same, kind of chucking them in everything I cook.
Yeah.
I even put I've got an extra pepper grinder, which is now my seaweed grinder. So
Oh
I
yes,
just
there you go.
trying to use it instead of salt as well, because it has a lot, it
Yeah.
has a lot of salt in it, and I've got all the other wonderful wonderful vitamins and things. So
Yeah.
I'm
So the
sneaking it in
salt.
everywhere.
Yes, exactly. That's what you have to do, really, isn't it? And then you kind of get used to just adding it. But the
Yeah.
salt is it still has that salty flavour from it's rich in potassium salts and magnesium salts.
Mhm.
So they're much better for your body than sodium salt. But yeah, yeah, they still have a very salty flavour. So that's kind of it's a good way of getting a salt kick without all the negative impacts of
Yeah,
sodium.
absolutely. So I feel like I'm gonna, this is maybe like a bit more Sophie's choice type thing, but do you have a favorite recipe from your book that you would recommend starting with?
Probably. I don't know if I'd start with it, but I'd say the Carrageen, the desserts are really amazing, like the moss pots. Anything that uses creaminess, like vegan cream or like nut milk,
Right.
or yeah, so you can use soy yogurt, but anything to thicken those and give them flavour is amazing for making kind of panna cottas, or yeah, any of those desserts are my favourite. They're kind of very easy to experiment with Carrageen, but not the easiest, I think. If you're starting with seaweed, I guess just the sea salad. Get used to just sprinkling sea salad onto anything, scrambled eggs, or onto salads, or yeah, into bread when you're making bread. Yeah, there's a lot of easy things you can get started with.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like if I'm describing my use of seaweed in the kitchen at the moment, it's really like as a herb
Yeah,
or a seasoning. It's just easy to throw in everywhere.
yeah, exactly. I think that's probably that's a good way of just getting used to adding it, isn't it? And
Yeah,
kind of getting the
absolutely.
benefits out of it, and like a little bit of flavour in what you're cooking.
Yeah, I will definitely try out some of the puddings though, because it seems like, if you're talking about foods where people usually use it, if they're not in the restaurant setting, it's either it's either kind of with ramen or with sushi, or it's just in so many puddings already.
Yeah.
The dessert industry really does already use a whole bunch of seaweed. So maybe I'll go and buy some cakes and hope they've got some carrageenan in.
Yeah, there you go.
Probably not.
Ice cream is probably more. Yeah, you probably get some seaweed in some ice creams, but
yeah, absolutely. Like especially the vegan ones, I suppose, right? Like if it's,
I don't know. I really have no idea. I've never made ice cream, but it would be a total guess. Ice cream and toothpaste. You probably got some carrageenan in it.
definitely toothpaste. My toothpaste has carrageenan in it. It's just
there
Colgate.
you go. Yeah, there you go.
Every time I buy something, I check the label now to see if it's got seaweed.
Seaweed in it. How bad.
It is everywhere, truly.
Yeah.
Caroline, thank you so much. It's been amazing chatting to you. Your knowledge runs far deeper than mine ever will, probably.
I don't know about that, but yes.
We'll see, but I've got a long way to go.
Oh.
I'm going to stop the recording now, but
Okay.
If anybody wants to go and buy some delicious seaweed from the Cornish Seaweed Company, the website is thecornishseaweedcompany.co.uk.
Cornishseaweed.co.uk.
Seaweed.co.uk, sorry, and they've got a fantastic shop that I spend far too much time on already. And if anyone wants to see more information or content about seaweed in general, the website for this podcast, blog or vlog, depending on where you're watching or reading this, is seaweedgeneration.com. Thank you so much, Caroline.
No problem. Lovely talking to you.
Lovely to chat to you.
Bye.